Families, we would like to welcome you to a new school year at the Expedition School. This year, we'll be using a new standards-based report card. Let's take a look at how standards-based grading works and how it's different from grading you may have experienced in your past. There are some fundamental differences between a traditional grading system and a standards-based grading system. In years past, your child may have come home with a grade in a single subject, such as math. Well, in standards-based grading, what we're going to do is give each major standard a score or grade, scaled from E to N. In a traditional grading system, a teacher would base grades on percentages, calculating them using an average. In a standards-based grading system, we're going to use a 4-level rubric and emphasize what's happening more recently in the quarter. We're going to start looking at trends and how a student is performing with the standard most recently. In our traditional grading system, you'll notice that effort, behavior, and work habits are frequently part of the grade. Well, not in standards-based grading. In standards-based, we're going to look at tests, portfolios, projects, and performance tasks only. We're going to use the summative assessments. So, what's wrong with standards-based grading system anyway? I'm going to use a couple of slides to demonstrate that. I think the first slide here does a decent job. So if we look at the student's math grade, he got a C. Well, we all understand that means he got somewhere in the 70% range. But when you really think about it, what does that mean? Does that mean the student was good at division, but had trouble with fractions? And if it does mean that, where does it say that on the report card? So what we're going to do on the standards-based report card is we're going to give a grade to each one of those standards. With this, we are going to use this reporting method, and we're going to be communicating with you better than ever about your child's mastery of the standards. Let's take a look at this slide to demonstrate one more time what's wrong with the traditional grading system. We're going to focus on two students in this graph, the student in blue and the student in green. Let's look at the student in blue. They started off the quarter all right, maybe it was review. Then they started to struggle, and they dropped off, scoring somewhere around the 40% range in the final assessment. The student in green was just the opposite. They really struggled at the beginning of the quarter, starting to build some confidence and skills, and by the end of the quarter, ended strong with a final assessment in the 90s. What would you do in a traditional grading system is we would average those scores. And when we do that, you can see the student in blue is still scoring 6% higher than the student in green. In fact, it seems to show the student in green only understands 60% of the standard. But it shows in the graph that at the time of reporting, she's in the 90 percentile. So how do we fix this? We fix this by looking at trends. What has the student done lately? We pay more attention to the more recent assessments, and we get away from averaging scores. So, why are we using a standards-based grading system? 2 reasons. 1, the students, and 2, the parents. For students, there's data that shows they're more successful in a standards-based grading system. And for parents, we're going to be communicating with you better than ever how to guide and support your child's learning. The question that's on everyone's mind, what does this report card look like? Well, here's a sample. Instead of only grades for math, reading, science, and social studies, we're giving grades to each of the major standards in each subject. You're going to see standards with grades E, P, A, or N, or in the first half of the year, you may see an asterisk, meaning the teacher has not assessed yet on that standard. And here it is. This is the 4-level scoring rubric that will guide teachers as they complete their report cards. The language on this rubric helps communicate where your child is in his or her learning progression on that particular standard. Notice that the grade P for practitioner is the goal of the grade. Let's address a few important questions. My child has mostly A's for apprentice on the first and second report card. Is this okay? Yes, this is okay. Sometimes teachers are not finished teaching the standard and have only taught part of the standard. Therefore, it's not possible to score above apprentice because apprentice means partial achievement. Now, this concept is important to understand. Do expert, practitioner, apprentice, and novice translate into the letter grades of A, B, C, and D? And the answer is no. Avoid making the mistake of trying to translate a standards-based grade into a traditional letter grade. To truly understand what the grade means, take the time to understand the rubric. One other really important thing to understand about standards-based grading is that in the score, we're not going to include effort, participation, attitude, behavior, neatness, attendance, citizenship, extra credit, etc. Those are not related to students' progress with the standards. They're very important and we understand that, but they belong with the habits of work and learning. This is the part of the report card that is just as important as the academic scores. With these 6 habits of work and learning, we're going to be reporting on students' effort, behavior, and attitude, and all those behaviors that make someone a successful learner. We are so thrilled to bring this exciting and positive way to grade to the Expedition School, and we look forward to a school year filled with very rich and enjoyable learning experiences for your child.